My name is Tendzin Choegyal. I'm one of the Tibetan refugees living in India, and presently I'm based in Dharamsala. I've been brought up as a monk in the Tibetan Buddhist tradition. And then I became a lay person at the age of 25. Now I'm 50 years old. And I'm very interested in Tibetan Buddhism. Now this might sound funny, but since I was born and raised in that environment, I took everything for granted. But about 10 years ago, sometime about 10, I began to rediscover my tradition. And I find it extremely interesting and also of great benefit to me as a person in my search for the truth or in my effort to assure that I'll have salvation. So I was brought up as a monk in the light of my being recognized as a Rinpoche or a Tulku, in other words, a reincarnate. So I was thrown in that situation from the age of 3, but I did not actually or formally enter a monastery until I was 7. But I was brought up in a different way than from boy of my age group, because I was recognized as a Tulku, so I was taken to a small monastery at the age of 6. So in a monastic situation, everything is highly regulated, and I remember as a youngster concentrating on, do you say on or in? Anyway, it doesn't matter, in or on memorizing texts, so that we don't have to carry books later on when we really understand the subject matter. So my time was mostly spent in memorizing texts, then later on trying to learn in the art of debating. Now from there onwards, and I was able to enter the monastic university of Devung since 1956, and 56, 57, 58, 59. So I've spent in Devung little more than 3 years. At the age of 13 in 1959, we had to escape Tibet from the Chinese, falling into the hand, or we didn't want to live under the Chinese rule. So I was able to escape. And shortly after that, I went to a boarding school which is run by Jesuits from Canada. And then after that, I became a college dropout. Then after that, I started to work. I got married and did various things for the Tibetan government in exile in my capacity as a clerk, as a teacher, as a soldier, personal secretary to the Dalai Lama, member of parliament, and since May of this year, I've retired. No, it wasn't difficult, or did I have a hard time in making the transition. Now, of course, people did raise eyebrows, and I did rock the boat. But then, you see, no matter what people say, if you do something in which you really believe, in my case, I felt that I didn't have the vocation to be a monk, then I think it's very important to be sincere to yourself. Otherwise, I'll be deceiving the world. And in the process, I will become unhappy. So I decided to become a lay person, and I wouldn't say it was difficult. There might be, but I didn't feel much, no. And then also in the Tibetan society, there are a lot of Tibetan Buddhist monks who kick the habit, I mean who leave the order or who become lay, and they can do. There isn't much of a, do we say stigma? No? Yeah. And you're also not ostracized. So therefore, it wasn't difficult, no? I use the word rediscover. Maybe it's not the right word. But I rediscovered in the sense that it's just like somebody who has a big cut. And the person is ignorant of dressing, the existence of comfortable dressing for that cut. Now, we live in a world in which, or our existence is such that we can easily get hurt, physically or mentally, and particularly so mentally so because it's very, very subtle. Now, nobody wants to get hurt. So therefore, to apply some of the things that I have learned, some of the things that were said in our tradition, I began to try them. And through experience, I came to realize the value of these teachings or these advices, and later on they became self-evident that this is real. It's not just a tradition, It's not a folk tale. It's really the stuff. And it is the medicine to cure whatever ill you have. So in my case, Buddhism, I have discovered Buddhism as a factor by which I could ease my mind. And the more I tried, more benefit I derived. And I came to realize that it is very beneficial to me. It's very selfish, nothing divine about it. And I'm trying to engage in it more and more. Having been born in a culture or a society where Buddhism was taken for granted, and as a child I saw the external manifestation of this creed or philosophy or tradition, but I just didn't actually try the way it sort of transforms your mind. So I embraced it, and then I derive benefit from it, and I'm very interested, and I want to learn more about it and try to engage in it more. Yeah. So in other words, I was reluctant to taste it, but once I taste it, the experience of actually tasting it, I like the taste. For people who expect something out of Tibetan Buddhism, I think first thing is, what are you really expecting? If you are expecting something instant transformation, I think His Holiness did mention during the public talk, or yes, it was the public talk. He said that people approached him asking him questions like, which is the fastest way to enlightenment, and which is the most comfortable and the cheapest. I don't think there is such way in any religion or spiritual tradition. So therefore, one should not expect too much. And one should be very patient. It takes time. Then also, I think it's very important to get in touch with different teachers, and then be very cautious or be very careful not to develop a sense of cult towards your teacher, worshipping that person. We worship nobody as Buddhists. Worship has no place in Buddhism. And then take your time and don't get captured by how smoothly a teacher talks or a guru talks, but judge the guru the degree of development of the Guru should be clearly shown by the behavior of the teacher or the Guru. And if the behavior is no good, back it up. Go to another teacher. Of course, you need these teachers, but the greatest teacher is yourself. And the greatest teacher who will really save you is the Dharma itself, it's the knowledge. So ultimately, you should not rely on any one person or any individual being. You should rely on yourself. From my observation, the word Dharma, which is connected with Buddhism, but Buddhism is not the actual name for the belief. Buddhism came from Buddha, but the real actual word is, in Tibetan we call it Chö, or Dharma, or way of life. Now, way of life in what spirit? A way of life by which we will not generate afflictions, minimizing them, if possible, eradicate. So any act through speech, body, thought that minimizes or that applies antidote to afflictions is dharmic. It's not going to the temples. It's not prostrating in front of lamas. It's just trying to check your dangerous tendencies, which are afflictive emotions, and to sum them up, it's attachment, hatred, and ignorance. So any act by body, speech, thought that is mindful of checking them, those are dharmic acts. And the whole reason, it's not because you're doing it to favor or to honor Lord Buddha or your friends. It's self-interest. One becomes happier. Yeah, that's it. It's very simple. Yeah, very simple. For Tibetan, I think you call Tibetan Tibetan monasteries, Tibetan monks and nuns. So Tibetan monastic tradition. It's very simple. Right now, I think there are a lot of deficiency, a lot of shortcomings. They are not really up to it. I don't have to say they should do this, do that, but I think they should stick to what the Vinaya says. Vinaya, it's a text or a volume which governs monasteries, regarding monasteries, how monasteries should run. And over there it also very comprehensively regarding the precepts of nuns and monks. And I personally feel Tibetan monasteries and nunneries just have a vague resemblance of what it should be. And then I think we have too many monks and nuns. I personally feel that we should have quality rather than quantity. And I think there's a lot of weeding out to do. This is one area that bothers me personally, because Tibetan people are very spiritually minded and very devout, and they consider the monks and nuns as members of the Sangha. And they are almost taken as a role model. Tremendous respect is paid. But if they can't be what they are supposed to be, I don't think they deserve the respect. So therefore, I think Tibetan people should really sort of be alert and think about in bringing a change. Not change, but perhaps reform, or maybe going back to roots and do what the Vinaya Sutra says. Well, that's what I feel. But then in a larger sense, you see, all spiritual friends are members of the Sangha. It doesn't have to be monks and nuns. Now, I know people who are lay persons, but who's kind of really excel, excel much better than most of the Tibetan monks. I'm sorry to say this, but this is the truth as I perceive it. So there is a lot of degeneration. And then in Tibet, a lot of monasteries and nunneries are coming up. And I think we have no control over the quality of the monks and nuns. Now, Chinese are allowing some of the monasteries to have certain number of monks so that they could show the tourists or the world at large that there is religious freedom. So if this gathers momentum and becomes a trend, then again we'll be going back to 1959 situation, where there are a lot of useless monks who are in a monastery so that they could have an easy life, and who do not only learn about Buddhism and not only practice, but they don't even learn about it, but just becoming just unproductive elements. And this is one of my personal worries too. But anyway, I have a lot of worries, but I can sleep very well, and I am accountable for my life. That's it.